Welcome back. We are talking about the takeaways, the lessons from the Gor Mahia versus the Hull City game yesterday that was played at Kasarani. Remember that game ended 0-0, but of course the visitors Hull City won that game on penalties, 4-3 it ended. But before we went to the break, we were talking about Gor Mahia. Sometime back, the late James Sianga stood up and told Gor Mahia fans, look, we have to build a team for the future. Are we seeing that, Salim? Are we seeing the prophecy of James Sianga coming to fruition?
Yes, as I earlier said, Toskins, Dylan Kerr is building a well-oiled German machine here in courts, because the way they are playing now, they're just wild apart from the other teams, because they have this kind of players that when they're given a job to do in that first 11, they do it to perfection. And what Dylan Kerr has been able to do this season is have the depth in his squad. Someone, you know, you can have the best 11, but in your bench you have someone, if you turn to in the 70th minute or the 60th minute, you know he'll deliver as much as the one you started the game with. So yes, at the moment, I think Kogalo, as they are famously known out here, they have become a fortress to each and every team. And in my opinion, what Dylan Kerr has done here, even after he's gone, Kogalo will still be Moroccan.
They had a foundation to build on, Middleton.
Yeah, obviously, and I mean, that is credit that has never been given to the late Siang. A lot of Gor Mahia fans then threw a lot of mud his way, and they felt he never did good enough. I mean, when you look at George Blackberry or the Amber, for example, and many other players, he brought them on board, and today you see what they're able to deliver. And that is the kind of vision and the kind of consistency that you need for a club to perform. So in terms of building that team for the future, and they've been able, successive coaches have been able to build into that and infuse their own football philosophy. I mean, even Dylan Kerr, sometimes I'm a critic of how he comes out and rants about some of his players that he has found with the team. But I think that Gor Mahia did set themselves apart from the rest of the team by having that consistency in terms of how they do their business during the transfer business. Look at Jacques Tuisenge, for example. He's come into the team. Medi Kagere, they've come into the team, and they've been able to gel. So that is a masterstroke for them, and it has made Gor Mahia be, I mean, almost unmatched in terms of competition for local owners.
Interesting, because you cannot have such a turnover coaches and then still play consistently. And we've seen that with Gor Mahia. They've had Bobby Williamson, they've had Frank Nuttall, they've had, of course, their former defender, that is Zedekiah Otieno, managing the club at some point. But then you can see the consistency with which they've brought in players, and they've come in and they've done the job.
Well, I can attribute that first to financial prowess. Gor Mahia is a team that has a big budget. And the other thing is that they are able to pay their players a lot of money. They're able to pay their coaches a lot of money. So they also give their coaches time. It's not like AFC Leopards. You stay there a couple of months and you're out. For Gor Mahia, they'll give you time. So for that, and in a season, how many players do they sign or how many players do they kick off? So you have maybe 3/4 of the team, over 70% of the team that was last season still there. And you have some players there that have been there for I don't know how many years.
Yes.
George Odhiambo Blackberry was there, left, came back. You know, you have the consistency has to be there.
It's very important.
Exactly, it's very, very important. Yeah. But in terms of development, I don't think they're the best club yet. In terms of development, I think Mathare United is. You have youth systems where you can promote these young kids from under 17, under 20.
But Gor has a youth team anyway.
Yeah, but how many players from Gor under 20 and the senior team right now? How many players from Gor under 20, they opt to quit football or go somewhere else? They don't do that. So that is a negative for them. But for their consistency, they've done an amazing job because they keep their players for
I think something more that we must credit Gor Mahia is that the 12th man has set a very high standard in terms of the administration. Look at Ambrose Achier. He's been there for quite a while, especially throughout that time. And that is another factor that makes the club have the kind of stability that we need. Whether or not they have that kind of structure administratively is another question altogether, which I believe should now come to the fore in terms of how is the club set up, how is it structured administratively, does it have that corporate image? Because where they are right now, they're in the league of the big boys. Locally,
so they've got to do things.
They've got to
like
do things right, and I think that is what we have to now challenge Ambrose Rachier and his team to be able to put together. Where is Gor Mahia's office, for example? Would you go online and be able to get, I mean, that kind of
office? Do they have an office?
That is what I'm saying.
I think we agreed on that.
That is what I'm saying. They have a corporate face. And this is a challenge that I would put to the likes of SportPesa, who are now the sponsors there. I've had club licensing is coming back again before the end of June. And I'm asking myself,
must make the most out
they
of that.
must be able to be the standard that every other club has to be measured by. SportPesa out there, Karauri and your team, you must put bare minimums for Gor Mahia, that a percentage of the sponsorship money that you're getting to them must be spent on having a proper, functional, professionally run secretariat.
Thank you for that, Milton, because we are now agreed that Gor Mahia have moved to a different league. They are now the big boys. They've got to do their business as the big boys. There's no two ways about it. And they've done their signings quite well, and we expect them to continue with that. But now, let's talk about the pitch, the Kasarani pitch yesterday. And somebody was telling me that, look, if only we could have as many pitches as those one, we'd be able to attract more teams coming from outside the country to play in Kenya.
Not just more teams coming to play here, but I'm not so much looking into teams coming here. I'm so much looking on how do we develop our own. How do we develop? Because not every single player will have an opportunity, no matter how good. How many great players, legends, did you know from Kenya never played for Gor Mahia or FC Leopards, but they still play anyway. That is a stadium that has been created for the last maybe 4 weeks. The grass was taken from Utalii. You see, it is the duty of the government through Rachi de Chesa to push the county governments to
make
have
the pitches,
infrastructure. The other day we were looking at Kinoru in Meru. They are rushing it for Madaraka Day celebrations. But when we needed Chan, when we needed it for Chan, no one was saying anything. So where are our priorities here?
If we had Kasarani in that condition, the lush lawn you can see from the screens there, you think we would have stood a chance of hosting Chan?
Yeah, because, you know, hosting these big tournaments, the state of your football fields gives you an upper hand. So in the recent times, if you look at, for example, Urak, when he trains, it's like a potato farm. You can't play. You can't play. Thika, you can't play. So fans have been opting to travel out of town, and you know it's quite expensive. Going to Naro, going to Machakos each and every weekend. So I think the government should step in and do something about our football fields.
And talking about another point, Milton, is from what we saw yesterday, we understand that SportPesa really did a lot. They really pushed to have that pitch made so that they can have Hull City, because they also sponsor Hull City. What is the role of the sponsors in this situation, and do we need more?
Well, honestly, it's a no-brainer. Going back to Chan, I think I would quickly quip in there and say that I'm one of those Kenyans that were very disappointed that we were unable to host Chan. And in the State of the Nation address, sadly, the president failed to address our grievances as football lovers on why the government failed to make sure that we have the stadium. But that's a story for another day. Having said that, the role of sponsors, ideally, it should be that unless a sponsor has direct interest, for example, in Gor Mahia, for example, they would invest in the infrastructure. But the function within the law, the Sports Act is very clear, that it is a function of government to have these facilities put up. It is not the work of the sponsor. But be as it may, the sponsor has already committed. Hull City are coming into town. You do not want to embarrass a professional team like Hull City and embarrass the country. And therefore, you make sure that you push everybody.
They should
and
not
get,
know we are poor.
And get the right get the right synergies. I think what is important and what is critical difficult. I have been saying this. Let everybody do their part. The government as it is, I am not ashamed, I am not afraid to say that government is the greatest failure to Kenyan sports, to Kenyan football, to be specific. And I am saying this because I have read the Sports Act.
Look at that pitch, you know.
Because I have an understanding. I have an understanding of what government is supposed to do. Sports facilities, sports infrastructure is a devolved function. The county governments have a duty.
The state of that pitch really, it doesn't make, you know, football that attractive.
That's better. You should see Sony and Chamberlain and Moroni.
So for me,
even Machakos has really
I would want,
deteriorated.
Toskin, what I would want to challenge is the CS for sports and the PS, our good friend Kaberia, to make sure that they convene a round table of governors. Let us get the act implemented in letter and spirit. Let us get KRA. Let us get, you know, tax rebates on corporates that are, I mean, those state incentives for corporates to invest in sports. And the other thing that we must do now, there is already a prototype. Gor Mahia have demonstrated that. AFC Leopards have demonstrated that football given to communities is where the money is. That is where the catch is. We must stop this business of Tusker. Instead of selling alcohol, Tusker are now running a football club. They should be able to say, this club is called Ruaraka FC. North London has 5 teams in the Premier League. There is nothing wrong in giving these teams to the communities, set the bar, let those communities run those clubs as it is elsewhere in the world. We are not reinventing the wheel.
And that's why we'll be talking about Gor Mahia fans, because we saw they came out in huge numbers because it's Gor Mahia. And if we can have some of those shots and see how these guys were really happy, you know, associating with their team. It's an emotional game. And Gor Mahia fans have really demonstrated that.
It is, but there's a book I was reading the other day on strategies in sports marketing technologies and emerging trends by Manuel Alonso dos Santos. And there's something he says that I agree with him that we have to, first of all, at an institutional level, you lead by example. That has been seen in Tanzania, Simba, Yanga, Azam. Right now in Congo, AS Menama, a middle table team, has their own stadium. Banadir Sports Club in Somalia, a team that was formed in 1993, have a 60,000 capacity stadium. So I think, what about for a 50-year-old club like Gor Mahia, start by developing their own infrastructure? A team like Mathare United.
Make the fans have a home of their own.
You have your own. You have your own.
I mean, for me, Shadrach, while I agree with you,
own training grounds, everything.
While I agree with you, can we start with something as basic as a clubhouse first? I mean, before we get...
You don't even have a clubhouse.
You're talking about clubhouse, an office.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we must be able to take the right steps.
Exactly.
You're not going to run even before you crawl. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Because looking at those images and seeing those Gor Mahia fans, the way, you know, they really are close to their team, you expect the team to have a home for them, where they can call home.
Yeah, it's quite sad that with the large following that Kogalo have been enjoying for all these years, you know, having a football stadium is it attaches you to the team in some type of way. So for them not to even have their own stadium, and they have been in the game, they have been having the supremacy for more than 50 years now, to correct me, and. When you have your 12th man who always travels around the country with you, for them to be lacking a stadium so far, it's quite something that breaks our hearts.
Which brings us to this last point, one of the takeaways that are the Kenyan clubs really leveraging on all that is happening, because we've seen sponsors coming in. The Kenyan Premier League has a partnership with La Liga. Now, SportPesa has come in, bringing in the English clubs, you know, to help us. Are our clubs taking advantage of this?
No, I don't think we are. First of all, the management of, let me say, over 75% of clubs that are participating in Kenya Premier League, they don't have a clue of what is to manage a club. Let me tell you, when you're managing a football club, it's just like a company. How do you own a company and you don't have money to pay even your employees? I've played in the Kenyan Premier League, and you're playing, I don't know how many games, no allowances, nothing.
No, nothing.
Nothing. And then we cannot just come and say this club has been in existence for the last 15 years, the last 20 years, and you cannot pay them even a training allowance. That is what's happening in Kenyan football right now. These are companies. You're owning a company and you don't have money. How is that even possible?
Really sad.
Shadrach, yesterday after the game, one guy, I think he's also a Gor Mahia follower, Boniface Osano. I don't know if we can get him on phone from Kisumu. He posted something on social media and it really created, a ruckus, guys. He was saying that Gor Mahia did not even present their merchandise to over 50,000 fans who are at Kasarani.
I agree with him.
I don't know if we can get him so that he shares with us before we go out. But then, let's say, I think he's online now. Boniface, talk to us. Yesterday, you posted something and everyone was saying, really, Gor Mahia should have done better with that.
I think it was a big opportunity lost there for Gor Mahia because it looked like every day you're going to get like 50,000 people at one point. So I think they lost an opportunity to present to the market their merchandise. Because of course we've heard that they signed a deal with the Italian sports apparel manufacturer Macron, but up to now everybody's asking where are the replicas. And as you know, in football, when your team is doing well and the fans are happy, that's the time you take that advantage and make a kill in terms of sales of merchandise. But for Gor, I think they're dragging their feet. They're not seizing the opportunity to really transform the club economically.
But who is responsible? Whose responsibility is it to make sure that they shout about some of these things? Boniface? Looks like we lost him, but then he raises a very serious point there, Milton.
Very important.
Yeah.
That is extremely legitimate. The first question we'll ask, again, we go back to how Gor...
I'm told he's back online. Boniface, you are making a very salient point there. Who at Gor Mahia is responsible for all this, and what do they need to do? Boniface?
Yes.
Yes, are you getting us?
Hello, come up again, please.
Yes. Talk to us about this. Who at Gor Mahia should have been responsible for all this?
Hello?
It's like it's very unclear, but then he's made a very salient point there as we finish because
I'll
we don't
probably
have
try
time,
to answer what probably Boniface would have said. But it goes back to the administrative structure of Gor Mahia. Did they even anticipate that you're going to have an opportunity to sell merchandise?
You should always anticipate.
Did they even have the merchandise ready? I mean, I would ask...
You don't have a secretary.
That is what I'm saying. So when you ask the responsibility, the buck stops with the club chairman, who should have a functional secretariat that has professionals in marketing, in communication, who are able,
I like that,
who are able to say, okay, this is the opportunity that we have, and this is how we are going to seize the opportunity, so that as SportPesa do the planning for the merchandise, if you saw what the stadium looked like, it was all SportPesa, Hull City, and Gor Mahia. But beyond that, there was nothing else. So it comes down to what Gor Mahia must do. And Ambrose Rachier and Lodvik Aduda and Co, they must.
And looking at that sponsorship Gor Mahia enjoys, FC Leopards, it was yesterday and the day before, it was SportPesa running the show. Did the clubs even come behind their sponsor and help the sponsor get the funds to the stadium?
How do you have a say when you don't have professionals? Because if you're the chairman for FC Leopards and you know Andenga Odinga is your friend, you put me there as a team manager. Do I have the qualities to be a team manager? Do I have the qualities to be a marketing, and do I have the credentials? I think that's the problem, and that was an opportunity lost, because we need people like Mike Gitonga to start supporting FC Leopards.
Now you bring in Mike.
Yeah, because he has to come away from Old Trafford.
and he's in the house.
They should know that
Mike has two left feet. Mike has two left feet.
Gor Mahia should know kila siku six massive.
Football would be the wrong place to have him because of his two left feet.
I might have two left
we need to divide the game into two. There is the actual game and there is the business side of it. Because football is not, I mean, the day and age we're in, and for Kogalo, who've been there for so long, it's not just kicking
years.
a skin ball. There is a lot that goes behind that in terms of now making it a business. So I guess I may have the two left feet, I may not play, but maybe the business side of it.
I like that. The business sense of it is what is lacking, and that is what teams are lacking in terms of leveraging on the opportunity they've had by La Liga, Media Pro, and KPL to have their matches on TV.
Exactly.
They have no, what can I call it? They have no capacity to see the opportunity and say, we have this game on KTN, how are we going to leverage on it, get a sponsor for that particular game as a starting point as we move along. This culture of kuomba-omba, serikali saidia, so football teams have developed this habit of corporates tafadhali tusaidie. It never works like that. It is business. It is business.
But at some point, I think Kogalo, they were selling bread. I don't know what happened to
but nobody
What
knows.
is the marketing behind it?
bread. And that's
They
what I'm
just
saying,
launch it and
it's a
assume.
business side of
They
it.
don't even have a marketing department.
Yeah, I think what we can agree, what we can agree
And I'm not sure
on
whether
is,
bread would be the best thing to sell. Maybe looking at the fan base, it would have been better to sell unga ya ugali. You know that
Manchester United sell tomato
or fish.
soup.
Exactly, or
Manchester
fish.
United sell tomato soup. So you can sell anything as long as you have the
As long as you have
the
the
support.
Mike, I think we agreed that the clubs need to do quite a lot in terms of marketing themselves, leveraging on what is happening, because the sponsors have brought some of these big teams from Europe. And I understand there's a story we are following and keep buying the Standard newspaper. Atletico Madrid was supposed to come to Kenya, but then they had no chance because we didn't have enough stadiums or good pitches to attract clubs like Atletico Madrid. But then we believe that that will happen in the near future. And Mike?
Well, thank you very much, Robin Toskin, with your wonderful guest there. It was good to get an insight and also just to an overflow of the game yesterday, because I think many of us were excited. We enjoyed the game, and Kogalo definitely did pretty well. But there you go. We'll have to wind up. Time waits for no man. And from Morning Express, would like to take this opportunity to thank you for watching us and staying with us. And, well, wish you a wonderful and a great day. Do stay with us right here on KTN News. We've got News Center lined up for you. Do have yourselves a good day. God bless.